Okay. Okay, perfect. So we are now on air. We had some technical difficulties per usual. I'm not sure why. Um, that happens. So, great. So today we're going to be talking about how to do a presentation. Okay. So what I'm going to do is mute all of you. Let's see here. Mute all of you while I'm speaking, so there's no echo, so there's no extra noise. I'll open my chat box so I can see if anyone does say anything. And Elle is here, very nice. Thanks for joining today, and everyone else as well. Thank you for being patient. So I'm going to screen share with you my little presentation document here of how to do. Oh wait, why can't I do this? Create another problem. Alright, 1 second. I can only do one of those documents, and I want this one to be shared. Let me try that again. Yeah, we did just start. Okay. And here we go. Perfect. So now it looks like you can, there we go. You can see the presentation here. So business presentation. Since there are some of you, it looks like I will have everyone else read today. Chin Yu, why don't we start with you? Why don't you read the first part here, that establish your credibility right up front, okay? So this is how to make a business presentation in English.
Establish your credibility right up front. Instead, whether giving a public presentation or an internal presentation, start your presentation by establishing credibility before you give them information. You can use your background related to the topic. Share an experience that give the presentation or conclusion, or explain other references that support your information and is directly related to what you're about to tell them.
Okay, very good. Perfect. Thanks to you. So I'll go ahead and mute you again. I couldn't hear everything perfectly, but you can read this if you'd like. So basically, credibility. Does anyone understand what credibility is? I mean, first we need to know what that is in order to be to establish it. Does anyone have any ideas or suggestions? What is credibility?
Maybe how can I say, to be believed by someone as a trust person, or credibility person or something.
Well,
Get
I
to
like
trust.
the first.
Yeah.
Exactly. You have to establish yourself, basically, in credibility, like you were saying. People have to believe you. And so you have to say, hey, this is, my job. I'm good at it, and this is why. Okay? So, and it says you can do this by using a short story about yourself, something that happened, things that you're going to demonstrate in this presentation. Lucia, believability. I'm not sure if that's a real word, but I like it. If someone or something has credibility, people believe in them and trust them. Perfect. Great. Great examples of this. Okay, so when you start out strong is what they want you to do, okay? You need to be in charge of this. You need to take over, and so you need to believe in yourself, and everyone has to believe in you in order for this presentation to go perfectly. So, any questions with this so far? because of the shortened time in class today, I might want to continue. I believe there are 9 parts to get through today. Thanks, Lucia, for answering as always, and Ken. Perfect. So let's move down here. And if I'm correct, Lucia, you're next. Is that true? Yep. So Lucia, why don't you go ahead and read part 2 for us?
Okay. Include a goal early in the presentation. If your audience knows the purpose or goal of the presentation from the start, they are more likely to relate what you have to say with that purpose as you present your material. This makes it easier at the end to get the action you want. If it's funding, approval to proceed with an initiative to change their minds, or simply get agreement and understanding. It will also help you shape your presentation by focusing you on the goal rather than straying from the primary purpose.
Okay, good. So again, establish a goal. You need to have a goal first. What is the point? What is the reason of this presentation? Okay, so this way it will help them to understand and more not just the presentation, but understand where you're going with this. They're not just giving you a lot of information. They're telling you, this is where we're going. Okay, so we're giving you maybe some background information, but our main goal is to talk about, and then whatever the main goal is. Okay, so here I have put in bold focusing. Okay, so they can focus on that. And you can also focus on that too, so you don't kind of go away from this other topic. And that's what the word straying means. Straying means going away from. Okay, so rather than going away from the primary purpose, just so that everyone understands that word as well. Okay, so establish credibility, and now go to the goal. All right, so those are the first 2 parts here. If we continue down, part 3, let's stop here, is that L. L, you are next. Can you please read part 3 in the presentation about use supporting material freely?
Okay, sure. Use supporting material freely. Instead of just presenting the material, accompany it with information that supports it and gives it credibility. You don't have to include it your slides, but make sure it is in your speaking notes. Example, you can tell a story, give a statistics, reference research, or even provide quotes from well-respected figures that support your message. And don't be shy and addressing credibility. You can even say, you may not be skeptical about this, or I know this surprising, but.
Very good. So here it's talking about using, different material, and you can use whatever you want to help get to your goal and establish credibility, establish what you're talking about, okay? And so this is how you can do it. So again, you can tell stories, you can give statistics, reference research, quotes, etc. Okay? You can use this in a slide or not. That's not very important, but you need to make notes about it. So if you want someone to really focus on this, personally, I would probably make a slide about it, because then they can see it. And I'm a visual learner, and so I always think, what's the best way for everyone to learn? Well, you can see it, hear it, listen to it, and read it maybe. And so I think it's a really good idea to add this into your slides as well, but again, you don't have to. Or maybe you hit the table and you say, you might be skeptical, but, or I know this is surprising, and so use these terms here to help them think, hey, what is this? I'm skeptical about what? What's surprising? Get their attention, okay? So maybe you clap your hands loudly and say, you will never believe this, but Okay, so you need to get them, excited and interested in your topic as well and what you're presenting here. Any other questions about this one? Anything at all? And again, when I ask about questions, it can be words that you might not understand or the idea. Anything at all. No? All right. Perfect. So Ken, it's going to be your turn to read part 4. So let me just get this over here. All right. So just read part 4. We'll save part 5 for Chinyu. Okay.
Okay.
Great.
Being separate ideas with powerful quotations or images. For more impact, introduce each separate topic or idea with a relevant quotation or full-screen image that shows the topic instead of using a stock title slide. Add a word or two about the topic if you have to, or simply say it out loud and let the quote or message support it. This gives your topic more impact since a strong quote or image will stick in their mind as they listen to the related material. It also breaks up the presentation, especially if you have no choice but to include dry, uninteresting material like sales graphs or bullet points in your PowerPoint presentation.
Okay,
What is a
great.
break up the presentation? Breaks up.
To break up kind of so it doesn't seem so long.
Uh-huh.
So for example, you focus on something for 10 minutes and then you kind of maybe do a quote. So, and then you go back into more boring information. That's what they're talking about here. So you keep it interesting and it's just not information, information, more information, more information. And it's like it says here, it's pretty dry and that just means uninteresting. It's not fun to be there. Maybe people are falling asleep, they're bored, they're looking at their phone, and you don't want that, especially if it's a really important presentation for you. Again, here it's talking about sales graphs and bullet points. And so sales graphs, hopefully you can understand that. They're charts or graphs about, the sales that you've had in the past, maybe month, year, etc. And bullet points, if I can point out here, if you can see this, these are the bullet points, okay? So there's a little dot and then something, some information, another dot, some information. And so those are bullet points. And if you have like 100 of those, the presentation will get a bit boring. So what you should do is focus on maybe some of the main ones, the important ones, maybe group them into what you need to do, maybe for the customers, maybe for the sellers, depending on who the presentation is for. So there's lots of variables here. There's lots of things to take into consideration. Does that help?
Yeah, maybe the variation is necessary to
Yes.
to not present the boring. Yeah,
Exactly.
I got it.
Okay, get it. Especially if the person is monotone, which means they do not use intonation. It could be very long. If it's a half an hour or an hour presentation, it could seem like a lot longer. So you do want to keep things interesting, okay? So that's what it's saying here is, put in a quote or an image or something like that. That really helps out. Maybe it's an example of something that you're talking about, or maybe it's a plan, and so there's lots of different things you can do here. Okay, great question, Ken. Anything else that you have questions about in these 2 paragraphs? When it's talking about a stock title slide, this is, for example, in PowerPoint when you have the slides and you can choose the slide layout, what it looks like, and then you just add the information. And so, to change those things might be a little bit better, just to make it a little bit more interesting too. Okay. So, any other questions before we move on to the next one, part 5, that Lucia is going to read since Ginny left. Just put this down for you a little bit. There we go. There's a little bit more on the next page here, so that's it. Make sure. Can you see all of that?
Yes, but when I reached question, you have to change the page.
Okay, sounds good.
Ask thought-provoking or rhetorical questions. An effective way to convey information is to ask a question first instead of launching into the presentation material. This will get them thinking about the material in the context you want. For instance, you could say, "You might wonder why, when I started to look at this issue, I asked myself," or "how much longer should we?" Be sure to consider your audience and the things they could have questions about and phrase your questions so you answer those things for them.
Okay, great. Thank you for reading that. So let me just move up here. Let me get to the presentation. There you go. Okay, so thought-provoking. And so if you have a question about this, thought-provoking is what makes people think, okay? So this thought are your thoughts, your ideas. Provoking is to get maybe to start, or, you know, they can start provoking you about maybe a party that happened last week and you did something embarrassing, something like that. You know, they're getting you thinking, and that's the most important thing here. Okay? And you always want to ask questions about the topic. Where do you want this to go? And so everything needs to be, uh-oh, no, you can't hear me very well. How is it now? Is it still bad? Delayed.
For me, it's still breaking, but for me, I can understand what you're saying, but I'm not sure about other students.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Okay, so.
I was the same problem like you, Aki.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. Let me just see here. Okay, so let me do this. Be sure your audience. Is there questions? Questions. What you say, so it helps audience understand your goal for. Does that help? Is that okay? Okay. Let's see.
Okay. Make startling statements. Sometimes the best way to get attention about information you are presenting is to make startling statements. It gets their attention, and if you can back it up with your information, if necessary, you can pull one fact out and use it, even if it isn't your main point.
Okay, so I'm not sure if you are able to hear me very well, but the word startling, okay, what does that mean, the word startling?
Maybe surprising?
Very good. So startling, whoops, not all of that, but here, startling is surprising, maybe we can use. We can also use shocking, okay, statements, things that you were not expecting to hear. You need to hear. Okay, so those are startling. Okay, any other questions? Can you hear me a little better or not really? Okay, so hopefully you can understand this. Let's see. Ken, why don't you read part 7?
Okay. Be prepared for difficult questions. Questions may come up during your presentation or even at the Q&A session. So you need to be prepared for the most difficult ones, particularly ones that may go off topic from your presentation or away from your goal. Consider all the objections the audience might have, questions that they may raise about your points and information. Include the most critical ones within your presentation to sideline objections, or be prepared to answer them when they come up.
Okay, great. So, difficult questions. You don't want someone to ask you many, many questions over and over again. So you want to answer these in your presentation if possible.
And it happened to me before. One person only persistently asked me a question after the presentation, and I answered that corrections kind of sincerely. But after that, I thought maybe it's not. Uh, I should have not done that, because other people can not, ask me about my presentation. So I would say something about it, maybe to, how can I say, to cause other people make a correction. So how can I say that in English politely?
That they should maybe stop asking questions.
Yeah, in short, yeah.
You can say, hey, let's give someone else a try. Let's give someone else a try, or would anyone else like to ask?
Okay. Thank you very much.
A question, sorry, take off the yes. Are there any other questions? There's so many different ways that you can ask. I think the first one is probably the most polite, is saying, hey, give someone else a chance. You're asking, everything. So,
Okay.
and that does happen too, unfortunately. You have to take control of that. So, it's a very good. Great question, Ken.
Okay, thank you very much.
Not a problem. Does anyone else have any questions before we continue on with the next one? There's only, I think, 8, and then 9, I think, is left to use. we don't have too much to get through. I'm hoping that everyone's understanding this. It's okay so far? Okay. Like I said, we're going a little bit faster due to the time that we lost at the beginning. So this is 8. Actually, let me just put all this on the next page because I added information. So all of this changed here. So Lucy, it looks like it's back to you. Why don't you go ahead and read number 8 for us?
Okay. Have your own questions ready in case nobody asks one? If you are doing a public presentation or a focused business presentation, you should leave time for questions and answers at the end. If nobody asks a question, be prepared with your own questions that you can then answer. Ease into them by saying something like, I'm usually asked, or one thing you might still be wondering about is, of course, your questions should be directly related to getting your message across and achieving your goal. So use them strategically. Even if you get questions, you can still use yours at the end of the Q&A.
Okay, very good. So if no one asks you any questions, make sure you have your own, okay? And as it says here, you can ease into them, so you can gently transition. You can, change topics from the natural presentation to the question asking time. And like they say here, I'm usually asked, or one thing you might still be wondering, maybe a common question is. So there's a way to do this too, because sometimes people are shy, maybe they don't have any questions, maybe they think you've answered everything. And so, there's a period there where it could be a little like, hey, any questions? And you're waiting and waiting and waiting, and you think someone has to have a question, but no one's raising their hand. So you do need to be patient, but if no one asks you any questions, just say, oh, that's no problem. I have some questions here. Okay. So any questions about this at all? Probably doesn't look like it. Okay. All right, wonderful. Well, let me just move this down. And Elle, you can read the last part here. Oh, Q&A is question and answer, just so everybody knows as well.
Have a second closing after the Q&A. You should include a short closing after the questions. This is the time to summarize again and talk about important messages and points. If you need to, you can prepare a slide for this, but you should not able to do the final closing without a slide to support you.
Okay, great. So again, at the end, what you want to do is make sure the people leave with the most important information in their head, not do you have any questions? And then they leave and they think, hey, yeah, I do have questions. No, let's go back and do another summary. Okay, talk about, again, I hope today that you learned about whatever the topic was, whatever your goal was. And, to reiterate or repeat that information, what the most important information is. Because that's going to be the lasting impression. That's the last time you are going to speak with them. And you want them to be thinking about that information. Okay? So these are some special tactics that we can use in order to have a great presentation. So with the 10 minutes that we have left, are there any questions? Does anyone have any stories that they would like to tell us? Ken, you mentioned a presentation that you did. Lucia or Elle, do you have any presentations? Did you have to do any? How was it? Were you nervous? Do you have any tips? Anything like that? Ken, because you did a presentation, and I know you like to talk,
Yeah.
why don't you talk to us about how you prepared? Are there different things that you were thinking about when you prepared a presentation?
Yes, nowadays, many people rely on the PowerPoint slides. So I use PowerPoint slides as a guidance of my presentation too, for me as well, not only for the audience, but also for me. I write a main idea of the section in the slide, and if the slide change, and I change the topic or I change the variation of it, or and also visual effect. My project PowerPoint skill is not so advanced, just a primal kind of slide. But even though nowadays PowerPoint slides is very helpful to guide me in the presentation, and also it's helpful for the audience, I believe. But if the visual aid is too boring or too I can say too much, it might hinder the presentation itself. So I need to be careful about that.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Yeah, you don't want to add in extra information here. You want everything to be directed towards your idea, the information, anything that's important. Unneeded information maybe you can say and not add on a slide. I think that would maybe be the best thing there. Good. Anything else you have? Any other tips you have to give us, Ken? Doesn't look like it. Lucia or Elle, have either of you had to do any presentations, maybe for work, for school even? This is more directed towards business. Yes, Lucia? What do you have for us?
I attended, for example, presentation about sales class. Sales because I am consultant. I sell for gym. So I attended this kind of class with the presentation, and it's mostly interesting, but also boring because it's too long. It's were 3 days of presentation of class. So, and yeah, presentations include all the things that we previously read in this class, and yes, it went on pretty much like that.
Okay, very good. So what you're talking about is maybe breaking up the presentation because you have it during so many days. To break it up might be very good. For example, you do a half-an-hour presentation, then you take maybe a half-an-hour break or a 15-minute break, get back to it, do another half-an-hour part of the presentation. Maybe they hand out snacks or so you can eat something, so it gives you a little more energy. That's what they're talking about when they're talking about breaking up the meeting or the presentation. Okay, so that was Ken's question earlier, and I think that would be helpful, maybe, Lucia. Maybe it wouldn't be so boring. And again, as I said before, where is it? Trying to get back to the presentation. So about bullet points, just go straight towards the information that you want to share, things that, support your message, okay? And what you can do is add in different pictures. Maybe you add in a funny picture or something like that to kind of, make it a little bit more interesting, okay? Would you like to say anything else, Lucia?
No, Becky. I'm sorry, but I can't get you clear, and yeah,
Okay.
it's a pity because I can't understand you completely. I guess what you are saying.
Okay. Well, in that case, we'll finish class here. Let me just stop the screen share and see if that helps at all. 1 second here. Hello. So I think we're okay today with the presentation.
Okay, we try.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to say goodbye. You can't hear me.
No, 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 no.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thanks for coming today. Good thing I can type fast. And hopefully I will see you later this week. I think the class is on Sunday this week.
Oh,
Okay.
Actually Sunday. So we're changing days a little, okay?
okay.
Well, thanks for coming. It was
Thanks,
nice to
Rebecca.
see you. Goodbye.
Thank you,
Goodbye.
Okay, thank
Becky.
you.
Bye bye. Bye everyone.
Bye
Goodbye,
everyone.
everyone. Bye
Bye.
bye.